Well, I'm going to start with a question, or it's not a disagreement, but it's a puzzle that I have had throughout your book, Michael. I find myself on page after page just asking, I don't know if it's an enlightenment question or not, but how do you know? For example, you give very specific attributes of God. The dominant metaphor, or maybe not a metaphor, but description in your book for God is He is our loving friend. This is a surprising image, frankly, to me. It's not one I've come across before. We usually think of friends involving a certain reciprocity. We don't just lean on a friend leans on us. That's part of the wonderfulness of it, of somebody coming to us asking for our help. What if I were to say, no, it's not a loving friend. God is, in fact, a lonely dreamer prone to bouts of melancholy. Or Jim Holt has said God is 100% malevolent and 80% effective. What is the evidence that you're going to provide for me to persuade me that your loving friend image is, in fact, the truth of God?
Well, that's a very, brilliantly aimed arrow. I want to explain one thing about it, though. I did my best, not always successfully, to not go into an argument on behalf of Judaism or Christianity. That is, I wasn't trying to present a full Jewish or Christian point of view. But I was driven by objections made in Hawkins and Dennett and so forth, and sometimes by you, to make since they were aimed at the Christian God and the Jewish God, to make some that, wait a minute, that's a misunderstanding. For one thing, lamentation is the natural language of Judaism and Christianity. The suffering of the just, the suffering of the believer. I think there's no theme more pervasive and constant in the Bible. That God's measure of justice is not ours. Now, you say your friends have to lean on you, but again, the Jewish and Christian understanding is that God operates in this world through what philosophers used to call secondary causes. He does almost nothing directly, but through us, and through natural things doing what they normally do. And therefore, God depends on us to get His work done. God depends on us to be faithful to one another, to love one another, to work for justice, to strive after truth. And by the way, one of the great gifts of Judaism to the world, Whitehead points out, and others have pointed out, is to give it, John Adams, our second president, pointed out, is to have a vision of a creator who knows what he did, and therefore gives us an impulsion to trying to have confidence that if we pursue the reasons why it works as it does, we'll find them. Without that impulse, science would never, in the modern sense, would never have arisen, Whitehead says. I think that's true.